Okay, so difficult family questions around Christmas, and this is something that my clients have to contend with. And it's not specific to Christmas. This could be a problem all year round. Someone might inquire about an event or their plans or what they're doing, and it's something specific to family, and all of a sudden, a person's kind of put on the spot in terms of how do they respond to a question around family. But it's particularly prevalent around Christmas time because Christmas is so synonymous with family and spending time with family. And I suppose the most common question is, are you going to see your family over Christmas, or where is your family going to spend Christmas? And again, they may be thinking more specific about someone's immediate family, but if somebody is struggling with their family, they may perceive the question as being about the broader family if they're going to see them over Christmas, which is makes this question quite a difficult one. Now, these type of questions are difficult for a variety of reasons. The first is the scale of the issues within the family, and they may already be carrying this massively overwhelming sense of embarrassment or shame or anxiety over the situation, and they may fear that these questions then may prompt the person to reveal the impact it's having on them, and the scale of the issues, and they may not want to do that because this is private. They may not want this aspect of their life revealed. Um, if they were to be more upfront about the situation, they may be fearful that they'll have their experiences minimized, and which in itself is very distressing. And unfortunately, this is something that happens quite a lot. This is something featured in the research, it's something that my clients have experienced as well, where to try to reveal some aspect. Look, I'm not going to see my mother or my father, my brother or my sister or my parents or whoever it is, sons and daughter, whoever they're estranged from. I don't have they have a fractious relationship with. Um, People may just instantly dismiss it. Well, it's Christmas. You should, park all these issues, or you should just get over it and see them. You should call them, whatever it is, and that can be quite distressing for obvious reasons. But particularly the fact that it just may not be an option for them. Maybe they wish they could, or maybe they know that that could be quite damaging if they were to actually reconnect their family around this time of year. But then those experiences are just minimized. They don't even ask about their experiences. They're just told they should park it and move on. The person might feel just a general sense of embarrassment about the situation, which again is quite common. People are embarrassed that they don't have that family relationship with family, or the ideal relationship. They may have fears that the situation will be spread to others. I might see this a lot with people, my clients, especially if it's in a work context, and they're afraid that if they were to tell someone that they're not going to see their family over Christmas, that may be spread around the office, and their work colleagues may find out about it, and they may not want that information. Again, this is private. They don't want this information revealed to the public, but unfortunately, because of Christmas and they're being put on the spot with these questions, they may be fearful that they might reveal something. um, but there's other considerations around the questions. For example, the intent of the person asking the question, and if they have personal history with the family. So they may know the family members that the person is estranged from. So the question might be more direct in that it references a specific family member. For example, are you going to see your mother or your father or your brother or sister or son or daughter, whoever it is in the family? But it might be more accusatory as well. So it may not be, are you going to see family? Or more so, why aren't you seeing your family? Or more of an inquiry, so you're not going to see family over Christmas. And again, the tone of that is quite different, and the effect it'll have on a person is quite different as well. Um, but from my experience, more often than not, the question is quite innocuous, and no harm is really meant. And in fact, the question might even be specifically about family. It could be just, what are you doing for Christmas? But again, because of the hurt that the person is carrying, and because this is such a big situation for them to handle, they may not experience it as innocuous. They may experience it as a threat. Um, and how a person then reacts to this perception of a threat, it's relative to the impact of the estrangement. So the greater the impact it's having on them, the greater the reaction. And the reaction might be a flight one, okay? And we often talk about these defense mechanisms that we inherit, or that are quite primal. They're referred to as animal defenses in the study of trauma. And just to be conscious, we don't consciously choose these defense mechanisms. They reveal themselves when we feel threatened. One of which is a flight response. So a person, if they're put on the spot and they're asked a question, they may literally just walk away really fast from the situation, and that's how their body is responding to it. They don't want to be there. They want to get away. They may have a fight response, so they might actually get really agitated and quite angry with the person asking the question. And they might react quite sharply, which again isn't quite the ideal response to the situation. And even for themselves, in retrospect, they wish they didn't respond that way. But what I've found is the most common response is a freeze response. So they literally kind of stand there frozen in space and they can't come up with an answer. And that's because within a freeze state, the brain's response, the brain's ability to think clearly is kind of dampened, and the brain's ability to access language, and particularly the areas of the brain, the neocortex, that comes quite dampened as well. So it's actually very hard to access an appropriate response for people, and this in itself might seem like an overreaction, and it might create this kind of weird dynamic with the person asking the question in that moment, because they're like, what's the big deal, I'm only asking the question. And but again, the person who's in the position of having to answer the question, if they're in this freeze state, they don't know how to respond, and it creates this awkwardness, and it might amplify the whole situation if it's already a difficult situation for a person. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that these are autonomic responses. Okay, they're not chosen. It's not necessarily how someone would want to respond, but the brain is neurocepting the situation, and neuroception is different from perceiving. Neuroception is a concept where the brain is just picking up threat, um, and that's the threat detection system is maybe miswired, or it's off kilter, and that's because the people who are estranged have experienced real threat, very often from them, their family, it could be outside, and as a result, then it creates this generalized sense of danger and threat, and they're seeing the situation as a negative, as something that's it's not safe for them, and as a result, they're now responding appropriately. And I think with the work I'm doing, um, when there's we get a sense that there's carrying trauma, which is where a lot of these defense mechanisms, the source of it comes from these experiences of being traumatized. Not always within family, it could be somewhere else, but in the context of this work, often the trauma comes within family. And again, that could be from abusive behaviors in the family, it could be from experiences of rejection, it could be from loss, tragic sicknesses, tragic events. But also the estrangement itself can be very traumatic, because it would be felt as a rejection, which is very deep and very impactful, and it can really negative affect the person's ability to regulate their own nervous system, their own emotions, and their ability to feel safe around other people. So initially, when working with my own clients, we often spend a lot of time trying to manage these defensive reactions. And first of all, acknowledging that they're normal in the context of their history. It's not ideal in the sense that no one really wants to react this way to these situations, but it's relative to their family history, their family situation, and their experiences of being traumatized. And with it, that understanding, we often spend a lot of time grounding them to help them stay present in their body, which is where a lot of this is happening. There's such a great emphasis on the psychology of trauma, but these are actually physiological responses. The brain is firing these messages out through the nervous system, and it's creating symptomatic physical symptoms within the body, which and including that freeze state. And the idea is trying to help them stay as present as possible, and maybe create a disconnect from the past, which is where a lot of these responses are actually rooted in. They're from past experiences that were very hard to integrate and to process in the moment. We're helping people to stay connected now in the present, and maybe they can transition, move through these feelings a little bit more safely and more securely, so they don't have the same overwhelming power over them. However, in real time, when someone is dealing with someone asking them a question on the spot, they mightn't have the time, the luxury of time to ground and to stay present and to orient themselves in this moment right now, so that a lot of those some sensations pass. So it's often more useful to help clients with scripting. And what that is that we're helping them, basically helping them prepare for scenarios where they're asked difficult questions. And to do that, we might do a lot of visualization exercises where we visualize different scenarios, different people, different locations where they might be put on the spot, and also different types of questions, and even subtleties around how a question is phrased is important. And then we script responses, we prepare them. And the key to this is that the visualizations need to be as detailed as possible to help people get a real sense of being there. But the responses have to be really, really basic, because they need to be easily accessed under pressure. In that defensive state, they're not really going to be able to think things through. But if they know that they've certain phrases, certain statements that they can say really quickly, it might take the edge off the situation, and they can just move off it, off the topic, and then hopefully move on to a different topic while and those physical sensations, those defensive reactions may subside a little bit. And a lot of these are very simple. What are you doing for Christmas? We're not sure yet. They might say, oh, this person, they're always very slow to make a decision. We always wait till the last minute. It may be a case of, oh yeah, we're planning it, we're not sure yet, we're waiting for other decisions to happen, or we're just doing our own thing this year. It's a really favorite one for my clients, and it's so vague and so generalized. And some people kind of like accept, yeah, that's fair enough, because Christmas is very stressful for people, even if they have a great relationship with their family. So people can kind of understand, yeah, we're just doing our own thing. People like, we're going to let people visit us this year. We're not visiting anybody. They can come to us. And these statements, they're very simple, but they're a really great way of deflecting the topic onto something else. Um, and often, as well as a grain of truth to them as well. So I found that the topic of lying is a really important one. And often with my own clients, we have to explore how they feel about not necessarily telling the truth, but doing so for a very genuine reason, which is they're just trying to protect their privacy. They're trying to maintain their own emotional state, and they don't want information being shared, which to me, based on my own values, and I don't like lying to anybody, but I can understand why people would lie, or at least deflect to protect themselves. And I think that's a necessary part of this journey of navigating estrangement and navigating the complex reality of family issues in contemporary society. But my clients might feel differently, and it's not for me to push my values onto them. It's about exploring their values and exploring the guilt and the shame that they might carry that's preventing them from defending themselves or setting a clear boundary. And really, that's all this is. It's making a very setting a boundary where I've decided that my family situation is private and I don't want it shared to anybody else. And as a result, this is how I'm responding to it, by deflecting the situation, by making these very vague statements that won't really offend anybody. It's no one's business either way. And hopefully that it ends the conversation there and then, and people can feel a little bit safer and have these scenario where there's a difficult question. The impact is much less negative than it could be. Um, so that's it. A really quick one around scripting, around difficult questions over Christmas. So the workshop, the clinic rather, the Estrangement Clinic, which is a QA session live with me, and I'm going to answer people's questions and spend some time discussing different aspects of Christmas and holiday periods and difficult family relationships, and also resourcing people. There'll be some meditations with that session as well. That's happening tomorrow. Okay, that's Thursday, the 14th of December, 8 p.m. Yeah, Irish UK time. I don't know what time it is. Of course, there's different time zones in the US, but people in the US are very welcome. Anywhere in Europe, anywhere really. If you're available, if you can go, you're more than welcome. There's some places left. I don't know how many will be left tomorrow. So I would really encourage people, if you're interested, please sign up. You're very welcome, and I hope it's helpful to you. And I might see you guys tomorrow even. As some people have said that they'd love to go, but they're not available tomorrow. I completely understand that. It's 2 weeks from Christmas. Tomorrow even, Thursday even doesn't suit a lot of people. Ideally, I would have done it in end of November. I just didn't have the time this year to do that. I will be doing another clinic at the end of January, and that will be very much about helping people get a better handle over the year. Despite the fact that they have this difficult relationship with their family. So we might spend more time um, discussing how to effectively park the estrangement in the short, medium, and long term, and how they can get the best out of the year. And to me, that's a really important part of the healing process when you have a really difficult relationship or family, or maybe even no relationship. How to still be functional, how to get the best from a person's life, how to focus on healing, how to focus on self-care, and also how to focus on projects and goals and dreams and aspirations that people have. And again, that's part of trying to carve out a life despite this less than ideal situation with their family. So that'll be the end of January. But again, there's still places for the clinic tomorrow, 14th of December, 8 p.m. Link in the bio. And please feel free to share. You might know someone that might benefit from this. So that's it. Thanks a million. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.